tonight. A Saskatchewan mine is among several energy projects recommended for approval by the Prime Minister. A BC company says Saskatchewan significantly overpaid for new firefighting planes. And we meet the newest members inducted into the Riders Plaza of Honor.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, September 11th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister has unveiled the major projects he wants approved that he says will reshape Canada. And a mine in northern Saskatchewan is one of them. Aaliyah Marco Omene has our top story.
Construction on the McIlvena Bay mine near Cretin is over halfway complete. And when it's finished, 5,000 tons of zinc, copper, gold, and silver can be pulled from the ground every day. Now, it's part of 5 nation building projects Prime Minister Mark Carney wants approved.
We have over 800 people on site during construction, and once we're in commercial production, we'll have over 450 stable long-term jobs. And it's really important because this is in a remote part of northeastern Saskatchewan and also an area that had been impacted by regional forest fires as well.
Carney says Canada needs to become a major producer of copper as demand for the mineral soars. The head of Saskatchewan's Mining Association says Carney made the right choice.
He recognizes that lost time is lost investment. And so it's really good to see that recognition at the federal level and to see interest in moving projects ahead, so it doesn't take 15 years for a project to go through environmental approval process, especially for a company like Foran or any junior company that doesn't have revenue to sustain that.
But the provincial NDP is disappointed Carney's list of projects does not include new pipelines, power infrastructure, or rail capacity.
A true nation-building strategy must include building the infrastructure that supports all of our export sectors.
The demand for copper is expected to keep growing rapidly over the next few years. But the mining industry warns that the slow timeline to permit and build mines could mean a looming supply crunch. Aaliyah Marco Omene, CBC News, Regina.
BC-based company Coulson Air Crane says the Saskatchewan government paid $100 million too much for some recently purchased firefighting aircraft. Last year, the province announced that it was spending $187 million to buy 4 new aircraft from a different BC-based company, Conair. Coulson Air Crane says Saskatchewan taxpayers paid more than twice what they should have, and it's asking Court of King's Bench to throw out the deal. CBC's Jeff Leo joins us now with the details. So, Jeff, this BC company, Coulson Air Crane, lay out their concerns for us.
Yeah, sure. So just over a year ago, the company's president, Britt Coulson, found out that the government of Saskatchewan had done this massive deal with his main competitor, Conair, the company you mentioned also in BC. $187 million for 4 planes. So Coulson was shocked because until that moment, he hadn't heard that Saskatchewan was in the market for planes. And that's a big problem for him because his entire business depends on learning about and responding to just these sorts of opportunities. So he was shocked because if he had been asked to bid on this opportunity, he says he could have saved Saskatchewan taxpayers a ton. In his court application, he says he could have provided 4 comparable planes for about $86 million, meaning a savings of about $100 million, like a price of less than half of what we ended up paying.
So why didn't Coulson know about this opportunity? What happened?
Well, he says the main reason is because there was no public competition, no tendering process for these planes. In writing back and forth with the government, he learned that the province had developed a preset criteria for what sorts of planes it wanted, and then it hired a consultant to find planes that met that criteria. And what that consultant found was that only one manufacturer's planes qualified, the Q400 planes, which are made by Conair.
So the government's criteria excluded Coulson's planes?
So not exactly. Coulson says there were many areas where his planes actually exceeded the government's criteria in a good way. They have a longer range, they can carry more fire retardant, can travel faster, and of course cost a lot less. But the government says Coulson's planes failed on the size criteria. The province wanted planes with tails that were no taller than 30 feet, but Coulson's planes are more than 37 feet, so 7 feet too high. Planes taller than 30 feet won't fit in government hangars. But Coulson says this is a red herring. This is not a real problem because during firefighting season, planes are generally stored on runways, not in hangars. And during off-season, his planes, which are built on the 737 model, will fit into most commercial hangars. And Coulson says, even if this was a problem, he could have addressed it through a competition. He says his company could have altered government hangars or built entirely new ones and still be far cheaper. Or he says his company could also buy and retrofit those Q400 planes, the ones Conair uses, and still could have saved the government $100 million.
So what do Conair and the government have to say about all this?
So Conair has no comment because all of this is before the courts. The government says the court should throw out Coulson's application because the company is bringing its complaint too late, more than a year after it learned about the deal. In addition, the government says overturning this contract would cause headaches for the government, which has already received the first of the planes that it ordered. And so in its application, Coulson says it suspects that the government contract was awarded to Conair because of favoritism. It points out that a key decision maker in the deal used to work for Conair, and it suggests that friendship, that relationship with company officials could have influenced this purchase. Now, the province strongly denies that, says it did not show any preferential treatment. The next steps in the court proceeding is expected later this fall.
Okay, Jeff, thanks for this. CBC's Jeff Leo in our Regina newsroom. Saskatoon's police service is seeing an increase in what it calls social disorder calls. The force's chief says they make up about 40% of all calls to police. They're for things like public intoxication or suspicious people. And he's not sure police are finding the right balance between the needs of people in crisis and the general public.
More often than not, if tickets are written to a person where they have no capacity to pay and they have no ability to work it off, the tickets are withdrawn. And so all of the intervention work that police tried to accomplish through holding them accountable, utilizing legislation, is for naught. And so that's a real challenge.
McBride says police struggle with repeat offenders every day. Saskatchewan universities are dealing with the fallout of Ottawa's stricter immigration policies with a lower cap on international students. Jeremy Warren reports.
There are fewer international students on Saskatchewan campuses this fall. The drop in enrollment has been reported by both the University of Regina and University of Saskatchewan, as well as Sask Polytechnic. That's led to lower tuition revenue for all three and layoffs at Sask Polytech. This international student came from Nigeria to study digital marketing. She says budget cuts have already limited class choices and reduced student services.
Again, the atmosphere on campus is pretty much, it's a rocky situation on campus right now. Everyone feels kind of on the edge. Everyone doesn't really feel comfortable because so many new policies. It's pretty much a waiting game right now. What's the next thing that could come up and how could this affect me?
International students pay higher tuition than domestic students, and she's not sure she's getting her money's worth.
We're not just here as cash cows per se to just bring money to the country, but we should also feel that support back from the country and the community.
International student enrollment at the U of S fell by 500 students last year. That led to a revenue loss of at least $10 million, and enrollment so far this year is down another 500 students. But it's not just post-secondary finances taking a hit.
Pace at which the changes were implemented, coupled with ongoing inconsistent messaging, have led to huge damage of Canada's reputation as a destination of choice for the post-secondary education.
The ripple effects go beyond campus. Immigration limits mean fewer international students with work permits for local businesses to hire.
So they are engaged in the workforce all around the province, right? So we will be seeing that in the immediate term.
The province's post-secondary institutions say there is one positive trend they're seeing, an uptick in domestic student enrollment, but not enough to make up their budget shortfalls. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, we're still a ways from Halloween, but these pumpkins in this patch at Black Fox Farm and Distillery near Saskatoon are starting to add some dots of orange to all those green leaves. Sadly, there will be no pumpkin festival at the farm this year. The unusually cool summer weather put a dent in the pumpkin harvest, but the farm has other plans in place of the festival, including a flower class, cocktails, and pumpkin donuts. But there's been nothing unusually cool about our weather lately. Helena Mahalik will tell us if this heat is going to continue after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have introduced a new monument outside Mosaic Stadium to celebrate its Plaza of Honor inductees. The engravings on the new cairn list numerous Rider legends and all 4 Grey Cup winning teams. This year, the team is inducting offensive lineman Chris Best. Best, who was part of the 2007 and 2013 Grey Cup winning squads, says it's special to be among the greats.
I can't say I've had my name like that. This whole cairn is really, really cool, and like to see my name. You look at the other names on here, and just some legends, absolute legends out here, you know. And it's obviously someone who joined us here today, and the fact to have my name up there with all those people, just I don't know if it's fully hit me yet. You know, I touched it, I felt my name. I'm going to take a few more pictures of it, but like that's something really special.
Fullback Steve Molnar, who spent 10 years with the Riders, is also being posthumously inducted. Coach Alex Smith Sr. is among the inductees. He spent 16 years with the club in various roles and is the longest-serving coach in Rider history. Current head coach Corey Mace says he looks forward to recognizing some Rider royalty this weekend.
You know, having, Coach Smith and Bestie and Steve Molnar's family come out just to be a part of today, allow us to show, our appreciation. Those guys and coaches, that are doing it current time. You know how much of a sacrifice that is, and to get honored like this is a big deal here.
The trio will officially be inducted at halftime on Saturday when the Riders host the Alouettes. And the University of Regina Rams football team remains undefeated after their win over Alberta last week. And they're keeping their eye on the Vanier Cup, which will be hosted at Mosaic Stadium in November. The Morning Edition's Adam Hunter sat down with head coach Mark McConkey.
It's been good. I knew we got a veteran team coming back, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So we expected to take some strides this year. I think we have in the first 2 games. And obviously, we lost a few key pieces on defense. So we knew our defense wasn't going to be the best defense in youth sports this year like they were last year. And we're just finding ways to win. We're a resilient group. There's been adversity in both games, as there always is in Can West. And our guys just continue to find a way to just relax, reset, and just go execute. And again, good start to the year so far, but we still got a long hill to climb.
What makes Can West so competitive?
Oh, that's a good question. It is, top to bottom, right? 1 to 6, every team's good. If every game if Calgary beats this team or this team, nothing surprises you. Whereas in other conferences, certain teams should never beat certain teams. In Canada West, that's just not a thing. And I think just because of the demographic, we're so spread out, such good football in Western Canada, RMF does a great job. Calgary Minor Football does a good job. BC, there's so many people. So it's just, you just get the best of the best in Western Canada. And obviously schools like UBC do a good job grabbing players from Ontario as well. So it's, every school is a little bit unique and different, but everyone's bringing in top tier talent every year. So it's always exciting, that's for sure.
You mentioned your offense, returning a lot of players, your quarterback, your running game has looked incredible for the first couple of weeks. Is that something that's nice to have as a coach, to know that you have some veteran players, some people that have been through that before, to start a season and be able to not maybe worry about that as much?
I think a lot of it is we're building off of last year. So as obviously it was a good start last year, kind of hit a 5-game skid, and then we got hot going into playoffs and had a great run. And I think what I told the players is, like, we got to continue to build off of that. So we know what we're good at. We're going to continue to do that, and just having those guys go through that experience and win the Hardy Cup and almost be in the Vanier, and then all off-season training and just knowing what we're all about, what our identity is, and we're just staying true to that.
What has that run last year meant for the group going into this year?
Yeah, honestly, I think it was just exciting. We hadn't won a playoff game since 2012, and prior to that, we hadn't won a Hardy Cup since 2000. So it was quite a while, and it was nice to get the monkey off the back. And even just for coaches, for the players, for the team, the university, just to be like, hey, we can do this. It's not like an unattainable goal, because every team, beginning of the year, doesn't matter, 1-27 in U Sports, they all think they can win a Vanier Cup. Everyone has that mindset. But we were like, we thought that all the time, but we hadn't won a playoff game in a while. But you always still preach it. But now we know just how close we really are. So it just kind of gives you a little bit more, I don't know, weight with when I talk to the players of like, hey, we are really that close. And again, we were close years before. We just could never win the playoff game or win the Hardy Cup. So to actually have that experience and just a little bit of confidence, like, we know we can win those tight games and those high pressure games. And that's just, it's nice knowing that on the team. And even before the playoff season or the playoff run last year, I asked our team, how many guys have been in the playoffs? We had like 20 guys from 2022. How many have won a playoff game? None. Right? Just Coach Gray, he's a defensive coordinator. He was on the Vanier team that won in 2000. I won one playoff game in 12, and like there weren't many. So it was, now we've got, I don't know, 80 guys that have won a playoff game here. So just having that experience is, you just can't teach experience like that.
And weather specialist Helena Mahalik joins us now. Doesn't really feel like typical fall football weather out there, Helena. Still feels like we're kind of back in summer still.
Yeah, you know, we had fall, now we're back in summer, especially in the southeast. We were seeing some really hot temperatures today, but with that convection, we're also getting the chance of some severe conditions. Let's take a look at what's going on in the province Thursday evening. Thursday evening, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect in the southeast corner of the province for areas just south of Regina. This is in effect from Gravelbourg down into Cornac. And some of the risks from the storm include wind gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour, hail that could reach the size of ping pong balls, and periods of heavy rainfall. As we get into Friday, we're going to continue to see a chance of thunderstorms for areas in the south around Regina. And as the day goes on, that system is going to move into central areas, so places around Saskatoon might also experience some storms. And the rain isn't ending there. We are going to get a lot of moisture into this weekend. We're seeing another system again in the southeast for areas close to Regina and Yorkton in that southeast corner there Saturday. And Sunday is really the day that we're going to start to see some showers hitting central areas like Saskatoon and even extending up into the northern grain belt for areas around Prince Albert. So just how much rainfall are we going to get? It's a good 4 days of rain falling there, and the most of those storms are going to hit areas just south of Regina. So places like Weyburn and Estevan are going to get over 30 millimeters of rainfall possible. Regina could also get close to 20 millimeters, and then we're seeing central areas like Saskatoon might get even less than 5 millimeters there. So especially in the southeast corner, we're seeing a good chance of moisture, and we're not seeing a ton of rainfall up north. We could definitely use it. We're still seeing air quality statements in effect for places like Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge, but earlier in the day Thursday, these were actually air quality warnings, so we are starting to see some improvements on that front. And then the coming days into the weekend, we're going to continue to see some improvements to air quality, but we are going to continue to see some smoke plumes for areas around Buffalo Narrows along the Alberta border. And temperature-wise, as we get into the weekend, we are going to see temperatures hovering into the low 20s Friday and into Saturday. However, some areas along the Alberta border will be feeling pretty hot Saturday with temperatures closer to 25 degrees. But where those storms hit Sunday, we might see temperatures just a little bit cooler again in those low 20s. So Ethan, despite the chance of storms, still definitely feeling like summer in the province this weekend.
Sure is. And yeah, it's been a long time since we've had a good drench of rain, and I know some of us could use that. Thank you, Helena.
Thanks, Ethan.
Well, Fisheries and Oceans Canada was recently involved in a whale rescue operation off Vancouver Island. 5-year-old Humpback Tutu was reported to be entangled on September 4th. The marine mammal was found dragging more than 450 feet of debris. The team attached a GPS tag to the trailing gear and eventually managed to safely remove it and free Tutu. Officials are urging the public to cut looped packaging material before disposing of it. Stay with us. We're back after the break. Welcome back. Thursday marks 24 years since the September 11th terrorist attacks in the United States.
My grandmother, Louise A. Lynch, who will forever be in our hearts, and every day I ask my mom for another thing to learn about her.
Some poignant moments in Manhattan. The former site of the World Trade Center was the site of the reading of names. Every year, family members of those killed here on 9/11 alphabetically read out the names of loved ones who died. In recent years, the speakers have been younger, many of them never having had the chance to know or even meet the relative they're honoring.
Alan Anthony Bevan.
And this was the scene in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the site where a fourth plane crashed, killing 40 passengers and crew aboard Flight 93. Every year, the bravery of those on that plane is commemorated for taking action to disrupt hijackers' plans to strike another U.S. federal building. And Helena is back now with one last look at our forecast.
Yeah, we're going to see some more summer-like conditions last into next week. Let's take a look at the forecast for the city of Regina. We are going to see temperatures hovering in those low 20s all week long, and our overnight lows are actually a good 10 degrees above seasonal, especially as we're heading into the weekend. We are in for a lot of rain this week in Regina, especially Friday and Saturday is the best chance of that rainfall hitting, but another slight chance Sunday and Monday of some rainfall as well. That tapers off as we get into Tuesday, but another slight chance of some rainfall Wednesday as well, before that rain ends Thursday with a little bit of a breeze, and the sun will be out all week long, even when we're seeing that chance of storms. In Saskatoon, it's the opposite. Friday and Saturday, just a slight chance of showers. We're really seeing that chance of rainfall hitting central areas on Sunday, and just slightly ending Monday, but we are getting that rainfall back again at Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures are going to be hovering in the low 20s all week long, and our overnight lows are going to be in the double digits all week long as well. So there's no risk for frost advisories this week, Ethan. So good news for the gardeners, definitely.
Definitely, and I'll have to find my rain jacket. It's buried somewhere. It's been a while since I've had to use it. Thanks, Helena.
Thanks, Ethan.
And that is our news for this Thursday. For more news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And you can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.